Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Tonight is going to be a really great topic we're having for pros just like you who own home service businesses across multiple industries. They're in different areas, they have different company sizes, but they are just wealths of knowledge. And why we chose them is because we've been seeing that they're individually doing well in certain aspects, whether that's financially, they're still getting lots of jobs, they're doing good work in the community, they're getting creative with their marketing strategies. So we're going to dive into that with them after our state of the world here. But for those of you who are new, this is our evening update for home service businesses. We do a state of the world with Mel, basically the numbers you need to know, the high level important facts of what's happening in the world right now around us. Even though today is April 1st, unfortunately, this is not a joke and we're not living in a joke, and we're getting through this all together. So we do a state of the world. And like I said before, Mel's also going to talk about the PPP, Paycheck Protection Program. The application was released today, so we have some information for you on that there. And then we'll get into our roundtable with all of our pros. So I'm going to cut my video and I'm going to pass it off to Mel.
Great, thank you. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. I'm Melina Fairley, Senior Vice President of People at House Call Pro. So we come to you every night to give you a quick world update and then to dive into the topics that are going to help your business. So as a point of introduction, everyone feel free to call me Mel. I'm not a news analyst or a reporter. I'm in my living room, not a studio. I'm not a doctor. I'm a homeowner and a mom of 4, and professionally, I have more than 20 years of human resources experience. So none of us have ever led in times like this, but I have led through a recession and through some pretty tough times. Most of my career was in grocery retail, so I also know a thing or two about customer service and frontline businesses during challenging times. So here is your update for Wednesday, April 1st. The World Health Organization reported as of yesterday that we were at over 750,000 cases worldwide and over 36,000 deaths. So if this trend continues, the global pandemic could reach 1 million cases and 50,000 deaths in just the next 4 or 5 days. So we'll all be watching those numbers. The CDC reported yesterday here in the US that 7 states have now reported more than 5,000 cases, and 20 states have reported widespread community transmission, which is really what the shelter in place and the stay at home and the social distancing is meant to help combat, is that community transition, not people who have traveled anywhere, just getting it out in your local community. So the Johns Hopkins dashboard that we refer to every night was most recently reporting over 200,000 US cases and over 5,000 deaths. Let's see.
Oh. So right now, if you try to load it, it's not reporting it. So they must be refreshing it or something, because no matter what I do here on the Zoom outs, does not show up, even if I hit refresh, but I'm sure it will.
Yeah, unfortunately, those numbers are going to be even larger the next time we can see the US on that map. So we'll keep an eye on that. Notably, New York State reported over 9,000 new cases just yesterday, bringing the statewide total to almost 76,000 cases, which was a daily increase of 14%. And certainly New York continues to be impacted in a really significant way. What we also saw in New York is that they're setting up a field hospital in Central Park, apparently 68 bed capacity, 14 tents were shipped from North Carolina. They began setup on Sunday, and the hospital is operational as of today. So those are going to provide overflow capacity for COVID-19 patients. We also are seeing in the US a continued shortage of ventilators. And then also what I learned today is there's also a shortage of medications needed to use the ventilator. So in order for a patient to be put on a ventilator, they must be sedated. And that of course requires medication. So now those medications are also falling on the hard to find list. We heard also that the US Coronavirus Task Force, so this is that White House task force, is using projections, and based on that model, we're being braced to expect at least 100,000 deaths nationwide. And that's with continued and effective social distancing. So that's not the number of deaths if we just go back to normal. That's the number of projected deaths if we maintain these social distancing measures effectively. So certainly a sobering number that I know I've heard on lots of news programs today.
Yeah,
so,
in New York, I was looking around, and 1 in 5 cases of people that are hospitalized are under the age of 44. So it's turning out not just to be like the boomer virus in that case.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I keep telling my kids, I'm 44, my husband's 45, and I keep telling them, no, you cannot get together with your friends. No, you can't go on a bike ride with the neighbor. You got to stay home. I mean, this is really something that could have a serious impact to just regular families, not just the elderly. So there is some positive news today. So Roland, I think you and I will talk about that just a little bit before we get our panel on here. The positive news today, I know you've been waiting to hear about the Paycheck Protection Program and when those applications will be available. We had originally heard maybe by April 15th. What we learned today is that starting Friday, April 3rd, small businesses and sole proprietorships can apply. And starting April 10th, independent contractors and the self-employed can apply. So we're going to encourage you to apply as quickly as you can because there is a funding cap on the Paycheck Protection Program.
Yep. And we're also going to do a walkthrough of it tomorrow. And we're going to do, I'll show you guys a little bit what kind of came out because the treasury.gov site just updated with it. We'll post this link here in a second here, but I'm going to share my screen here just so you guys can see where there's this additional information. So we're going to post 2 of these PDFs, one if you're the borrower, as well as, you know, what the overview of the program is. And then here is the application for you guys to fill out. So this link right here just was updated, I guess, last night. So this is brand new. When you click into these ones here, you'll be able to see kind of some of the details. Obviously, I'll tell you guys about them right now. The biggest thing is that this is meant to fund payroll for up to 8 weeks. So this gives you the ability to bring back maybe people that you had let go, or increase back the wages of people maybe that you had decreased. But essentially, these will be fully forgiven as long as you're using them for payroll cost, obviously, you know, interest on mortgages, rent, and utilities. But the point of it is for payroll protection. So as long as you're using it that way and you can prove it, this loan is going to be completely forgiven. The loan too, by the way, comes really at low rates in the case that you don't use it for payroll or entirely. So it's 2 years and it's 0.5% interest, so super low. It's still pretty much free money. That being said, is you got to make sure to keep them on payroll. Make sure to rehire them quickly. This is for all businesses that are under 500 employees. So that's probably 99.99% of people watching right now. Actually, I don't know if we have any pros on House Call Pro that are over 500. But in the case that someone happens to not be one of our customers and seems to be watching, it's for under 500. I don't know if Mel mentioned this, but starting April 3rd, so on Friday, this is when small businesses and sole proprietors can apply. And then the week following, so the following Friday, so April 10th, independent contractors, so ICs, if you're doing work for you know, other people, in addition to self-employed individuals can apply. Because there's a funding cap, you guys better make sure to go through this as soon as you can. This is why we're letting you know now, today, and then we're going to walk you through all the steps. It's really important to tune in tomorrow for this.
Yeah.
Did I miss anything?
Well, what I want people to realize is that although, you know, we're pointing you at online resources, you are going to need a small business association lender. So the same people that do that. This is part of the Small Business Association 7A loans. So you should consult with your local lender as to whether or not they're participating. You can also find a list of participating lenders and additional information. We'll post the link to sba.gov. So this is one that you will have to go through a lender on. You won't be able to complete it without identifying who that lender will be. So little homework for you tonight, because tomorrow we're going to walk you through how to apply for this thing, and you're going to want to know who you're applying with.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, so someone asked what time tomorrow. Same time every night, Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow's one you don't want to miss. I know we've been talking about the SBA loan, the EIDL, the Paycheck Protection Program a lot over the last few weeks, but now we're actually going to get into how to apply. So we're going to go through the application and show you and hopefully answer any questions you have along the way. So like Mel said, do that homework. And our goal by the end of tomorrow is that once we get off the call, you will have everything ready and you can go and apply right there. That's how simple it's going to be and straightforward. So just make sure to join us tomorrow for that. But tonight we have 4 very special guests. It's our first pro roundtable. We're really, really excited for it. So I'll have all of them come join us back on and we'll say bye to Mel for now.
Bye, Mel.
Bye, Mel.
Bye.
I'll have John, Lawanda, Shawn, and Zach come back and join us and unmute yourselves. Hey, John.
Me and John are on the same beach.
Yeah.
There's Lawanda. And then we got Shawn and Zach coming back in. Hey, here's Zach.
Won't let me start my video.
Here, let me see. Here, I just asked you to start your video. There we go. And then Shawn, I just asked to start his video. There he is. And we'll unmute you.
Nice.
Cool. So before we get into it, and I have these 4 awesome humans introduce themselves, you honestly probably recognize their names from being within the coronavirus discussion group or even within our own House Call Pro groups because they're always commenting and helping and offering advice in there. So what our hope for this is that we're going to cover 4 topics. We're going to cover finance, operations, marketing, and admin. And we're going to ask a question and all 4 of them are going to respond. And what our hope from this is you learn and you're inspired by how they're going about their business operations now, the change in courses that they've made since the coronavirus pandemic started. So
let's do intros. So what are the 3 questions we're going to ask for intros?
So the 3 questions we're going to ask for intro, obviously who you are, where you're located, how long you've been in business, and how many employees you have. So we can start.
Oh, that's great. 4 questions.
Yeah, 4 questions. So let's go just the way you are on my screen right now. We'll go John, Lawanda, Zach, and then Shawn. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Cool. So go ahead, John, take it away.
Take it away, John.
Okay. This is John from Andreas Fault Property Services. I'm located in South Orange County. I've been in business for 20 years. I've been on House Call Pro for about 1.5 years. And you want to go over the first question, marketing?
So
we're going to do intros.
Yeah, we're going to do intros first. And how many employees do you have right now, John?
I have like 5, and I've gone to a subcontracting list. I have many subcontractors I deal with on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. And John and his wife, Laura, run the show. They're super active in the pro community, both online and offline. Same with Lawanda, so I'll pass it off to you for your intro.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lawanda Haney with Fit for Cleaning in Olney, Maryland. We were a residential cleaning company. We're just a cleaning company now, and we're located in Olney, Maryland. Not sure if I said that. Been open since 2016. I have 2 full-time employees and 1 seasonal employee.
Awesome. And then Zach.
I am Zach Crider. I own Gordon's Appliance Repair in Chicagoland. We currently have 5 employees. Right before this all started, I ended up having to fire an employee. And we've been in business since 2016. Well, I took over the business in 2016. It's been around since 1977.
Awesome. And then Shawn.
Hey everybody, Shawn Patton, Patton Plumbing, Heating and AC in Memphis, Tennessee. I have been in business for myself since 2005.
Wow.
I've been in the industry 28 years, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 employees and myself. And we're running this spring. We're usually running around 10 employees, but we're a little light right now just because we're holding back from hiring temporary for the summertime. So.
Mm-hmm. Thank you guys for, again, thank you guys for being here. We really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us and to share your knowledge with everyone. So I'll
Yeah,
pass it.
definitely. So we are doing this so you guys are going to get some actionable insights here. So the first question I think that a lot of people are thinking about is how do you get the top of funnel is what we call it. So how do you get the customers in? So obviously in times like these, I would love to hear from each one of you in like maybe 1 or 2 minutes. What are you doing now from a marketing perspective that might be different than what you maybe normally do? So what are some ideas that you come up with? What's working good for you? Maybe we'll start the same way. We'll start with you first, John. How's that sound?
Sounds good. You know, what I've been doing is thinking out of the box, and I've come up with some ideas that I've been pondering for a while now to be a guest on podcasts. And I've been on 3 podcasts in the last week. And that's a form of marketing where you put a little plug in at the end and you don't know who's going to be listening to that. So podcasting and being a guest, that's one thing. And then also doing the Zoom meetings
like it.
virtually to most of my clients. A lot of them are real estate agents and brokers. So doing Zoom meetings, because they usually have weekly meetings, but since they can't meet, you can still be a guest and teaching them, giving them information at the same time, giving them some value and kind of like you're sitting right next to them. So doing that kind of stuff.
That's awesome. And one question for you. How are you finding these podcasts to be on? So for the pros that are watching, how are you going about this? Just real quick, what's your process?
My process is actually listen to their podcasts, and if I like them, then I reach out to them and do a cold call email, and I've had results coming back.
That's awesome. So it's as simple as that. Just go get them.
just basically listen to them, and if you like what they have to offer, there's a lot of past, and just reach out to them and go get them.
That's awesome.
I love it. I love it. All right. Next up, Lawanda. What are you doing now that might be different than before? You even mentioned already from residential cleaning to cleaning. So what are you doing?
So we had one church that we would do, and that was literally the only commercial account that we've had for 4 years. But now we definitely ventured into more of like helping out people who need it on the commercial end right now. So we're tiny, and so far we did win a really big account at an assisted living facility here in our area, and it's a nonprofit, and it's just been really great that they found us. The way they found us, though, y'all aren't going to believe this, okay? Some of you already know what I've been doing if you're in the main group run by House Call Pro, but I literally have been doing a lot of community outreach by trying to meet the needs that people need right now. I figured they're at home, maybe they're cleaning, people aren't there or can't come or are scared to come or they don't want anybody else in their homes. So I started out doing how-to videos. I literally got on some local message boards and said, hey, you guys, what kind of things would you like to know how to clean up at home? And I started out doing a series of videos and uploading them to Instagram and my Facebook business page. From there, in the same like Nextdoor app and some of the community forums on Facebook, people were having anxiety about toilet paper. So I was like, I could order toilet paper for my janitorial supply and offer care package delivery. We literally had such a tank in cancellations last month that I was just like, okay, what can I do what people need? So I started doing a quick little delivery service. Of course, has to make sense. In our little immediate area, we have about 36,000 people in our small town. In the surrounding areas, everything's really, really close together. So I've been offering free delivery, and you know, I'm delivering these care packages to them. It could be like hand sanitizer, bath tissues, what else? Like paper towels, gloves, all the things that you all have probably.
Oh, you muted yourself.
Sorry, you guys.
Not too excited.
Okay, had an automated call. Sorry, you guys, I'm a mom. But yeah, so that's how I approached it. And I never thought that it would literally help market my small business to this entire area. And so by doing a sincere community service, I had really great tips. People who reached out and said, hey, never heard of your company. I would really like, after all this craziness is over, would love you guys to give us a quote and clean for us. And that has happened so many times. The word is out.
That's awesome.
People are telling their friends. Facebook video I made has over 5,000 views and over 20 shares just in this little small area, which is huge for me because, you know, that's a pretty, you know, that's really spreading out. And then the best part about it is we ended up being in the newspaper, and we have a weekly newspaper here called the Greater Olney News. And just me going, trying to donate because somebody posted it on Nextdoor, ended up getting a photo op. And literally, you open up our newspaper, and boom, there I go on page 2 at the very top. It made my business. I had everything, and it's just been wonderful because I've had people reaching out to me all day.
I love it. That's super innovative, all of those ideas. And by the way, guys, just because you might not be running jobs, you probably have a stock of all kinds of different supplies. Those are just costs of doing business. You can write these off as marketing. If you're giving them away, you know, as potential leads, write all that stuff off. It's great. And you're using it. It's not just sitting there gathering dust. So now's the opportunity to do that. I love how you identified that really quickly and just started doing it. Just out of the blue. I love it. Zach, what are you up to?
Well, March is historically a slow month for us, but it's actually been one of our busier months in the first quarter. So that was definitely good for us. We did Facebook Live initially saying, hey, we're still going into homes. These are the precautions that we're taking. These are the things that we're doing. And we got out there in front of it. We're ramping up to start doing more videos, like as far as like some how-tos, some simple cleaning that they should be doing on appliances, as well as ramping up to do some virtual service calls. So tomorrow's my first actual slow day where I can start focusing on that. But we're going to start doing the virtual service calls. I'd say probably 30% of our service calls that are not contract, we could do just over a Zoom, real quick, take a look at what's going on with the machine. We may still have to go out, but for the most part, we can kind of diagnose a little faster that way. And it minimizes exposure in a home, makes customers much more comfortable with that. They already like us because we're using technology more than anyone else in the area. And so that just kind of exaggerates that. We're ramping up to do some video series with not just our company, but some other contractors in the area, doing some commercials as far as like Facebook stories, Instagram stories, stuff like that. So we were already in process of ramping up to that, and this just kind of accelerated that process. And then you can hear more of my thoughts on the House Call Pro podcast that I just did with JC.
That's
yeah.
We'll share the link to that in here.
A lot of it's been on my personal page, just showing leadership and showing restraint and calm in the face of adversity. You know, my company, it's been chaos from day one. My daughter was born a month after we took over the company, so I don't know anything but chaos. And so this is just another form for us. And so it's just flexing with whatever's coming. But being that's still that calm, consistent voice, even on my own personal Facebook page, which everything's public on there. So, you know, I promote my business, I promote other stuff on there. And so just keeping that calm, cool, and consistent the whole way has really made a difference for us.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like, you know, showing leadership also from the technology perspective, like you alluded to, and using Zoom with customers. I know a lot of you guys may be like, oh, well, we're just using Zoom to watch your guys' stuff, Roland. But no, customers and homeowners are using Zoom to talk to their friends, to their family, to their group hangouts. Chances are like 99% of the time, they'll already have Zoom on their computer. They'll be super comfortable. And when they learn that you're using it to do these virtual estimates or virtual service calls, it just is icing on a cake. So I love that you're already daring to go do that, because I think a lot of pros still aren't even thinking that wavelength. So thanks for sharing that one. Shawn, what are you up to? What's innovative and new in your world?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, so I will back up to probably about 3 weeks ago. You know, it was the unknown that was so scary. We saw a decrease in monthly service calls versus revenue, and we were not balancing our sheet 2 weeks into March. By 3 weeks into March, we had $16,000 more go out than what had came in. And so things started looking rough. So we immediately called a meeting. Me, my office manager who does most of my books, and my wife came in. We immediately made $1,500 in expenditure cuts throughout the business, monthly expenditures that were reoccurring. We immediately went into our personal household budget, me and my wife, and took out $1,500 of reoccurring expenditures. I immediately laid off a helper that I had recently hired that was, well, it cost me anywhere between $600 to $800 a week. So because I have to balance a sheet at the end of the month, and without that coming in, crazy enough, let's fast forward 3 weeks later, we finished out the month $10,000 more than we did last year. I don't know what happened, but I'm grateful for it.
That's great.
What have we been doing? Existing customer base. I'll tell everybody that's listening, and I learned it from someone else. The stuff that I'm going to tell you and the stuff that I'm doing is I lean on a lot of good peers that have been successful in business, and people have taught me a lot of stuff. I'm not some self-made. People say, you got a successful business. I'll be the first person to tell y'all it wasn't successful. It's a lot of sweat for me and a lot of sweat equity and a lot of hard work, because it wasn't successful just because I came up with everything that I have today. So I appreciate those people that I had a chance to lean on. Existing customer base. That is your golden ticket right there. Don't even worry about obtaining new customers. Focus on your existing customer base right now. So we sent out a email just letting people know that, we're trying to limit contact, and we're going to be screening your calls coming in and make sure that, if you've been out of the country or you're sick, anyone in your house is sick, and telling people what we're doing. We're disinfecting our vans after every service call. We're disinfecting their tools. My guys have shoe covers, gloves, and I sent that out in an email. I know most of you have probably got an email from everyone that you have business with that's reoccurring, that has your email, that takes your money every month from whatever to whatever. There's a long list. Everyone is getting hit with emails nonstop. I had to do the same thing. 50% open rate on those emails.
Wow.
We ran an email saying, what we did is we cross-trained our techs. So I have HVAC guys and I have plumbers. My HVAC guys have learned the minimal plumbing tasks. So I told my customers, if you have us out and we come into your house, there's one service fee. I'm not sending 2 trucks. I'm not sending 2 guys. You're not going to get billed for 2 separate dispatch fees. It's going to be one dispatch fee, and they'll take care of your plumbing and HVAC while they're there to limit contact. So we've done that. Email blast went out, 50% open rate, no unsubscribes.
What are you using to send out the email, Shawn? What tool are you using for that?
We are using, Star does it, my office manager. And when I say I have a team that takes care of me, literally I say do this and they do it. And
they made it happen.
Yeah, they make it happen. I'll think of it in a minute and I'll tell you who it is, but I gotta skip that and go back to it.
That's all good.
Facebook. Facebook Live is so important right now because our marketing company that we use told me social is up 80 to 85% across the board. There's so many people at home and so many people on Facebook. And live, not enough people use live to their advantage. And if you boost any sponsored ad through live, your cost per impression is way lower than anything else, any kind of print, any kind of stationary ad. So you definitely, if you're wanting to get your message across to people right now, you need to be doing Facebook Live, telling them who you are, tell them whatever you need during this crisis. We've been screening calls, cross-training our techs, doing email, lowering our expenditure rate, personal and business. I think we're going to have a huge call volume from people that are holding out. This isn't going to last. I think we'll be over this in the next 8 weeks or so, and hopefully things will get back. All those people that aren't calling you now, if you stay in front of them, you send them an email, all those people that needed your services normally that aren't calling right now, I believe they're going to call. They're going to be like, hey, I've been holding out for 10 weeks to get this drain fixed. Now I need you to come do it. So I don't think you're going to lose customers. Virtual service calls. We did a video not long ago. We're calling it Service from a Distance. I gave some tips and tricks. I've been doing that 3 or 4 times a week. I'll tell you how to fix it for free. I've had 2 customers. I've walked them through some plumbing issues they had and told them what tools to get, and they Facebook Live. What do you call it? FaceTime to me.
FaceTime, yeah.
I walked them through it. Right now, it's about building value with your customers. We built a disinfecting cabinet with UV light for our local Red Med urgent care. So the nurses, they were running out of masks. So we built a disinfectant cabinet for them so they could reuse their masks. Got that out there.
That's awesome.
You're doing a ton of stuff.
Yeah,
that is like.
When I say there's a lot, I had to make a list.
Yeah. And all of this is such great information. And what we're going to do for you guys after this is we're going to distill all the stuff that they're teaching you right now, and we're going to put it in a blog post or a PDF for you. But we want to get through the rest of our topics because I think they're equally as important. Marketing, I feel like, is one of the biggest ones in this group. The next thing I want to talk about is admin. So we always say when we're in the height of our busy season and when things are normal is, oh, I wish I would do this thing for my business, but if only I had the time to do that. And it seems like you're always putting this one thing off, but it's something that you may want to do, whether that's like fixing up your website, fixing your online booking. So if you had to choose, or what are you doing right now, or maybe what do you have lined up to do that is on that quote unquote administrative list that you previously didn't have the time to do that you're able to attack now? So we can start with John, Lawanda, and then Zach, and then Shawn again.
Okay. What I've done is I've always pushed aside joining a networking group. So I joined a networking group and I'm looking to join another one. One of the largest one out there where you can be a guest is BNI, and they're throughout all the countries and stuff. And not only do you have access to, I've already got business from the group, but you can go visit other groups and, meet contacts and grow your business that way. So that's what I've done recently because time's always gotten in the way. Since I have a little time, I compartmentalize my time where I say, actually Wednesday is my meeting day. So all my meetings happen on Wednesday. All my networking stuff happens on Wednesday. And then I kind of value that day. See, when I got the call today, it's like, oh, good, it's my meeting time. I had 3 meetings today and it worked out perfectly. So get out there and network. You don't know who you're going to be in front of. You don't know who they know. And I can tell you some stories of jobs that come out that if I didn't get out of my box and visit somebody and, all of a sudden they led me to somebody that got a big account. So definitely get out there and network and join a networking group. And if you can, join 2. And that's fine. It's also a business write-off as well.
That's
great.
No, that's a good fact.
I remember in the early days of House Call, we would crash. I would pretend to be the tech guy and I'd go to the BNI groups just to meet other contractors in the early days. So I'd be the tech guy to build a website and I'd go crash as a guest. So networking is great. And the best thing about it now is because you're not supposed to be meeting in person, you can do it all via Zoom. So you don't have to go to Applebee's at 7 a.m. You just go right on Zoom. You're there. You can, wear a polo on top and your pajamas on the bottom, and you can go and network as much as you want. So that's a really cool tip. I love that one.
Yeah. And then Lawanda, what is one new thing that you're now able to focus on that you weren't previously able to focus on before?
Very honestly, this is going to sound archaic, but I text and email with my customers a lot. Most of them are doctors or, people who are elderly and they don't necessarily want to be on the phone a lot. They go to bed early, whatever, and they just prefer to text me. So right now, while it's been a little slow due to the pandemic, I've been calling a lot of them, just checking on them, not wanting anything, just, let them know that we're here. And if they have any questions or needs, just call me. And it's just something as simple as that. It helps me see what their needs are and put more notes in their customer profile, so that I can, when I follow back up with them as things get better and easier and we get back into the field on the residential end, that they know that I really do care about them and I wasn't trying to sell them anything. I've always wanted to just kind of let them know, hey, I'm here for you. Because I always feel like we treat our clients like family, but I think now we finally are showing them that we really do care.
That's awesome. You, just from what I've seen from you on Facebook, and I can just tell you have such an interpersonal approach with all of your customers, just as you do with your community, as you do with us at House Call. So I can't wait to hear the payoff for this in a few months from now, when you're able to refer back to those customer notes and when you checked in on that one elderly customer. So definitely keep us posted on that. And then Zach, how about you? What's one new administrative thing that you're now able to tackle because you have a little bit more time?
I wish I had a little bit more time. I got the tech hat on again. Having to fire a guy just before this all started, I was in process of scripting out what our website would look like. Our website's just pissed me off for a couple of years. And so I was in process of, actually laying out the menu structure and all that stuff. And I kind of handed that off to my guy, Eric. So he's working remotely and he's working through that. I've been working on the content creation side, getting the gear together. That's something that we've always done well. And we're just ready to take it to that next level. And so getting all that stuff together, testing out all the gear, making sure that's ready. Prior to this all happening, we were working on a podcast trailer that we could take to our fellow contractors and shoot a podcast with them, video and audio. And so as we start to slow down again, and my technician is running more than I'm running, I'll finish that trailer and be ready to hit the ground running when we can get back into shooting our own stuff, our own podcasts. And in the meantime, as we slow down, I'll be doing my own Facebook Live and Zoom kind of set up much like I'm set up already, for this Zoom. So really digging into that marketing piece of it again. And adding value, finding different ways. Like I've been saving my dryer vent. I've been letting it get nice, the actual lint screen, letting it get nice and nasty so I can do a demonstration video of how to clean that properly. And working on getting the dishwasher ready to like I taught you how to do, Alexa, doing the tang. Yeah. So little things like that are what I'll be doing as we start to slow down.
Mm-hmm. On that note, if you guys can sense like a pattern here, content is one of them. In our main group, we are always trying to challenge you guys to do more creative email campaigns, text campaigns, different like posts on Facebook and Instagram. There's something that Zach actually sent me, or maybe he's out here getting a Super Pro tattoo, but to put Tang in my dishwasher to clean it, and I shared it with everyone at House Call, and it worked so well. So things like that, now that you have the time, sit down. I'm sure you have a list of 10 things right off the top of your head of like hacky things that you can do in each of your industries that you can put together quick videos or quick tips for. So that's something you should definitely focus on. And then Shawn, back to you, Mr. Patton.
Sean's gonna have like a list. I can already tell it. He's like smiling. He's like, ooh, I got them all for you guys.
No. I was going back because I was asking Star. Squarespace emails. We're doing our emails through Squarespace. Whoever's doing our hosting, they had the best price and whatever that was.
It's included. Yeah, it's super cool. It's easy.
Things that I've been wanting to do for a long time. And we've always ran pretty good. I didn't really know my numbers like I should have. I knew the most critical numbers, but I didn't really know my numbers. And so we're sitting down. We've got a list of KPIs and targets that we want to hit. So now I know what truck, how much per tech, how many calls I need to hand over, you know, how much you're supposed to do a week, per call, per day, call volume, calls booked. I got a sheet in my office. So from the time somebody calls where they heard about us, you know, and she books the call, the booking rate. So there's a whole list that we go down that, you know, we're trying to stay on track so our targets are more achievable by breaking down, like, I know this big number I want to do, and I want to hit that by December 31st. And I know January 1st, we start at 0, and I know at December 31st, we need to end at this. But I don't want to be in October and we're, you know, $200,000 off and there's no way we can make it up, and what happened. So before we get to the what happened, I want to be taking care of that weekly now. So there's a reason why, you know, was the calls not there? Was the weather not there? So the one thing that I've been wanting to do that we've been so busy in years past is dig into my numbers and find out how we got to that number. You know, the
Yeah.
phone rings, I do the marketing. There's someone taking their phone call and a text running a call, and he brings in this envelope and he stuffs it into his book, and it goes to the desk, and then it gets to the bank, and then the numbers hit the board. But how? You know, and I think everybody loses that in their business. They see the bankroll and they see the payroll and they see the money, but, you know, how did we get the money? What, you know, there's a science to that, and that's the science I've been trying to dig into. And I think once you learn, if you can get 60 or 70% of that science correct, versus not doing it at all, or, you know, I guess, does that make sense?
Yep,
Yeah.
it's going to make a world of difference. I feel like two things that I hear that are really important key takeaways for other pros here. Knowing your numbers means you got to have things set up correctly in whatever CRM you happen to use. With House Call Pro, you'd be tagging customers, you'd be tagging jobs. Like jobs you want to tag as like install, replacement, callback, repair, and then you can run reports on those things. So if you have nothing to do right now and you're like, what do I do with my time? Go through, do what Shawn is saying, is go through in there and go tag everything so you can really truly know your numbers. And then the second one that I didn't hear, but I think is also a really good one, is now is a really good time to start thinking about your service agreements or your recurring service plans. You've got your existing customer base. You got time now when you're doing customer check-ins, tell them about what you offer. One clever secret here that I found to be really successful in this is Shawn said, stuff doesn't just stop breaking because of the coronavirus. There's demand that's becoming more and more pent up, but people are nervous about having you in the house. So what do you think is going to happen when we come out the other side of this? All that pent up demand, the demand that you've been building, is going to all come flowing back. Well, guess who is at the top of the list? My Gold Star members on my service plan. That's why I want to make sure I'm calling you today, so that way you can be the first person that I can help as soon as we come out this thing. So think about how you can do those and incorporate that into what you're doing when you're thinking about your admin time.
Tagging January 1 became a huge ordeal for me, for job tags to customer tags. And the story is, I'm sitting there with a competitor. We're sitting around drinking a beer, and he says, how many water heaters you put in last month, Shawn? And I said, I don't know, a lot. I said, how many did you put in? 219. He said, we're on target. I was like, maybe I should be knowing how many water heaters I put in. And, you know, he's like, yeah, man, you need to track that stuff. So it was a conversation with a competitor going, dude, you need to track things.
Yeah. Yep. Tag it.
Yeah. So that's my story.
That's awesome.
And then you guys have been sharing so much. We have time for one more question. So Roland, I'll let you choose the topic because we actually have questions for you guys in the Q&A that I'd like to try to get to. And if not, maybe you guys can answer them on Facebook. But Roland, choose our last topic. We should have scheduled longer, but it's just, there's too much to talk about, too much to learn.
As long as we have viewers that are sticking around, we're just going to kind of go. Because they're not dropping off. Everyone's sticking around. So this means there's something of value we're sharing here, and I'm not surprised. So we're gonna kind of go here. So the two other topics we're gonna cover, one was finance, one was operations. I think we heard a lot of like operational things. I'm curious from a finance perspective. I'm gonna ask you guys to bring out your crystal ball and think about the next 3 months. So April, May, June. Is your revenue going to go up And if so, by how much? Is it going to stay pretty constant, or are you projecting down? So what is your feeling on how this is going to all pan out, specifically for your business? So up, kind of like staying equal or down, and if up or down, by how much? And how do you know? So let's start with you, John.
Okay, well, all rolled in finance with operations because they tie together for me. I anticipate to increase 20% over the next 2 to 3 months by doing tying into manufacturers that I get leads from them, like insurance companies, stuff like that. And it seems kind of crazy, but today I actually launched a new business with a partner with House Call Pro, and we're combining plumbing service with electrical services. And it's going to be a way where we tie into that. We've got some insurance accounts, which is non-recession. I mean, it's not tied to the recession because if stuff happens with the insurance, they need it done. So we got involved in installing Flow by Moen. I have a contact there. So it says I've been at the ground floor level from the beginning. In fact, I have the original 1.5 inch and a quarter that they designed based on my recommendation. So teaming up, increasing by joining with another pro and see how services. So we thought, since he's an electrician, I have a plumbing department in my business, let's pull the plumbing department out and combine forces. And that's how we're going to increase by having 2 companies versus just 1.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Hey, Lawanda, your turn.
All right, here we go, you guys. And let's just say my crystal ball, and I could be dead wrong, okay? But my crystal ball is looking at March. We were down 29%. It felt like a lot worse because everybody just kept canceling. But once I look back at it, it was only 29%. And so I'm grateful for that. Part of that is because some people kept paying, and that was really sweet, okay? Now, this month, again, we were residential, which involves a lot of recurring stuff. So on a quick note, because I know we're trying to get finished, by doing a commercial account, we've already met 50% of our usual sales. So all I need is 1 more recurring commercial account and at least 1 vacancy claim, and we will be 110% to go, okay? Now, let's say by miracle, sometime between now and July, that everything starts to get back to normal, society starts to, ease back out of their homes, and, I get bombarded with sales calls and replenishing, doing deep cleans on all our recurring clients. I'm projecting, okay, and I'm being real here, if this happens, 350% to go. Why? Because of all the marketing, all the notes that I'm taking of the people that are calling, and just even interest, but just with who we currently have, and kind of having a special on spring clean since it will have been so long, 350% to go. So that's my numbers, and so that's what I'm saying.
I love it. Super optimistic, positive. I hope you hit that goal. That'd be
I'm going to try.
All
anyway.
right, Zach. Hey, do or do not. There is no try, Lawanda.
Exactly. So my goal is to be ready to hire on 2 technicians, fully trained and ready to go. Historically, for our company, we start the ramp up in April, and really take off right after Memorial Day. And then it's all out until about December time for us. So I'd like to have 2 technicians that we can slip in, onboard quickly. They already have the experience, get them out and rolling, so I can go back to what I was trying to do, being in the office, doing the marketing piece, doing the video stuff like that. So yeah, we will see the ramp up in our industry, and a lot of other appliance companies have the same thing. Once April, May hits, it's ramp up time for us no matter what.
I like it. I like it. All right, Shawn, what are you predicting?
We look at the years we look over about the last 5 years. Thankfully, been with House Call Pro for like 4.5 years, long time. So we look at those numbers over the course of how long we've really been tracking. As for growth, I don't want to grow anymore this year. As crazy as that sound, like I added all the trucks I wanted to last year and all the techs I wanted to. We're actually consolidating some different departments. I want to be more profitable with less. So I'm looking at running a better net margin. We ran at about 16% last year, and I'm actually looking for that 4% this year just by running a little tighter show. So as for a crystal ball, I'll look at the calls volume. Like if we ran, 420 calls, last year, I expect 420 calls in this year. If I don't run as many calls, then our cost per call and our ticket averages need to be more. And that's just doing a better job of finding more things that are wrong at someone's house, or offering more, or doing more, or gaining service customers. So as crazy as that sounds, I don't know how everyone else out there is I'm in a mode this year is I don't want to grow anymore. I'm happy where I'm at right now. I'm looking for some extra percentage on the backside at the bottom line, and we're just going to run tighter this year and be more profitable.
Yep. Now I know why knowing your numbers was so important to you, because there's no way you're going to go increase the net margin without knowing and digging into each one of those, because you're absolutely right.
Have no like if you're making $2 million and you want to make $3 million, well, you can make $3 million, but is it going to be more profitable to do that extra $1 million? Unless you change some things, no. Chasing the rabbit down the hole for more gross revenue isn't always the always a better option.
That's a really, really good point. It's not all about the gross revenue figures. It's can you run a net profitable business and keep your net margins high. All right, so Alexa, what do you say we go into some of these questions? We've got time for a handful of these.
Also, Shawn, since we work together pretty much every day on Facebook, let Roland and I know how we can hold you accountable for getting to know your numbers. Yeah, and if there's a goal each of you have and you want accountability buddies, Roland and I are here to be your sounding boards through this time, because you've been so helpful.
Can I blame you guys if it doesn't work out?
You can, as long as you do what we tell you to do.
Response. Come on. Yeah, let's go into some of these Q&As. And so actually our last topic that we were going to talk about was operations. So what I think I'm going to do after this, what I am going to do after this, I'm going to have our panelists respond to me and type it out what their answers would have been, and I'll make a post in the coronavirus discussion Facebook group so we can continue the conversation there. The last question was around new systems that they've been implementing in terms of operations, but I do want to get to some of these Q&As. So let's go with this one is pretty much for everyone, but more directed towards Shawn and Lawanda. There's 2 questions for your specific industries, which is not residential cleaning, just cleaning in general, and HVAC and plumbing. So how have you been doing virtual estimates if you have been? This one is, I'm in the HVAC business and our industry is complex for video estimating. Do you have any recommendations on what you can use and not use for virtual estimates, and just kind of how you do it if you are doing it? That's for both of you. There's multiple.
You want me to go first?
Do you want me to go first?
Rock, paper.
Go for it, Shawn.
So I would say I don't do a virtual estimate in the sense that, I'm watching over video. I, about 2 years ago, implemented only doing estimates by phone unless it was a landlord or a property manager, and in some cases the elderly, just because they're a little bit old school and they need to see your face. It cut down so much on our expenses by doing that. And I have a formula, which if anybody wants to see how to do it, I've sent it to a few people in the other group. If you want me to email it to you, then that's fine. Just send me a message on Facebook, please. It's easy to find me in the group.
You're always so helpful. I love your videos. Everything you guys post, we share internally at House Call too, to be like, look what our pros are doing, and especially like your screen recordings, Lawanda, that you do, I find super helpful. And if you're doing those for your customers as well, I think that would be awesome. All right, Shawn, how about you?
Our PMs that we're starting here pretty soon, we have customers that don't want us in the house, and we've told people, look, we'll come by, we'll clean the outdoor unit, we'll have a checklist, and we'll check everything outside that we can possibly check without having to come inside. While we're there, if you want to, before we come, if you'll go check your filter, if you'll go up to your upstairs unit and look for a few things and send my tech some pictures, you know, while he's outside at your outdoor unit. There's some things the homeowners can do that I can walk them through, just like teaching a technician, a journeyman technician coming into the field. I'll educate and tell the homeowner what they're doing, what they're looking for, and why I'm asking them to do it. And I've told my client base, if I have to come back and it costs me more money, then that's what we'll do, because I'll go check everything outside. I'll check the refrigerant levels. Some of the customers that I've had, I've told them to get a temperature gun, like the little laser one, or a little thermometer, anything they can stick in the vents for us while they're inside and we're outside. Some of the techie stuff, so we can get our superheat and subcool readings and our delta T's and stuff like that. And that's all has to do with the airflow coming out and how cold your stuff is to make it work right. So we've been doing that. Plumbing, we have to go in the house on plumbing. There's no getting around that. But the HVAC stuff, been trying to, you know, at least do the work outside. And that stemmed from, I had one tech that went to somebody's house, and he called the tech on the phone and let him know he was on the way. And they said, well, do you have to get inside? And my technician says, yeah, I need to get inside. They said, well, we don't want you inside right now, so we'll just set it up for another day. Well, I hadn't had a chance to have the conversation with all my techs. And the next morning I did. I said, we are not losing a call because we tell the customer that we can't get inside. We can go outside and do 50% of the job. And if we only need to bill for 50% of the work, then that's what we're going to do. But I'm not going to take the chance of losing that customer to another competitor that would say, oh, well, we could have checked all that stuff outside. You know, you've got to think outside the box, and you got to be quick, because you don't want that customer going back out into the marketplace to find a solution to a problem that they had that you couldn't think quick enough to fix, if that makes sense.
Totally. And to go on this, if you guys are interested in learning more about how to do virtual estimates, we actually did a whole evening update on virtual estimates last week. It's posted on our YouTube channel. It's also on housecallpro.com/coronavirus, and then just go past episodes. We have now just recently been able to get all of them updated and on there. So there's a more in-depth step-by-step. And also in our blog, we have another step-by-step of how to do a virtual estimate, and talk about some of those issues that you might run into if you're starting out to do it. And then, so our last question before we go, I want to direct it towards Zach and John, because of your industry. And this is about being an essential service. So are you responding to all service calls, or trying to determine what are critical calls and only responding to those? I've been asking myself, because I am considered an essential business, but where do you draw the line on the calls that you're taking?
So we've been running on all calls right now, minus installation. So if someone's asking us to install a dishwasher, a microwave, or something like that, we're not doing those. But as far as the other appliances go, I mean, really, most of them, with people stuck at home all the time, there's kind of like not a choice. You know, it's pretty hard to go out with a stove or a microwave, or, you know, dishwasher you can get away with. You can wash your, you know, dishes in the sink or whatever, but, you know, clothes, it's even hard to make sure things are sanitized. And even a dishwasher becomes a gray area, because if you're touching the glasses and stuff like that, you want to make sure they're sanitized before your family is utilizing them. So we're doing everything we can as we're walking in and out of these houses. We're sanitizing our tools. We're, you know, making sure we have the gloves, the mask, if the customers are there. We're trying to keep the social distancing. Our girl on the phone is pre-screening that, making sure people aren't sick. And she's also letting them know, like, to give us our space when we come in there, because we're trying to protect them as well as our own families. So.
And then John, how about you?
You know, with us, since we're providing so many services, the essential business would be we're getting a lot of plumbing backups because they're throwing everything they can because they don't have toilet paper. So that's essential because you can't have it backed up. And the insurance stuff with the flow by mowing, they've mandated that they have to have it installed by a certain date, the water shut off. So all the work's done outside because the customer programs their smart device inside and we're outside. So we're looking for the outside stuff, but our current customers that know us, we let them know we're protected. We have our gloves, we have our mask, and they trust us already. We already built a relationship with them, so we don't have to sell them on that. So we let them know that we're still available for anything that they want. And for new customers, then we'll let them know we are an essential business and we're able to be out and about. And if you need any services, we're here for you. So that's been working for us, but basically getting involved in stuff that's outside versus inside. And like I said, the inside customers, we take one at a time to see how they handle. If they call us, we reach out to them and we let them know that, our guys are protected. Nobody's been sick. We let them know. And then we ask them questions too, because we don't want our guys infected, right? I carry a thermal imaging camera. And just the other day, the guy was questioning me, he was a tenant. He said, you guys don't have any temperatures? No, okay. And then I said, hey, can you hold on 1 second? Would you mind if I take your temperature? He goes, wow, yeah, sure. So I got my thermal imaging camera and took his temperature and he was fine. So I said, okay, well, it's equal both ways because, we're worried about, coming in. What about, them? We're not sure about that, right? So we asked them the questions that they ask us.
That's a really good tip.
Yeah.
Ask them the questions they ask you too. Yep.
I would add to it, my protocol, just because I was in the healthcare industry prior to being in the appliance industry. And so I come home and I strip and my family knows no hugs, no nothing until I've stripped, until I've taken my shower. And then, I'm ready to come out. That's critical for protecting your own family. I have a decontamination area in our house. Just that way I can protect my family just as much as anyone else.
That's a really good tip. I don't know if you talked about that on the podcast with JC, but you should probably even make a post about that, a decontamination area. That's something I didn't even think about because your kids they're home now. So they're probably so stoked to see you and they kind of know what's going on, but they also might not. So they're coming in, running up to you and giving you hugs. So that's a really good tip. Other than that, like we have more questions. So we always save these and we put them into a giant FAQ master doc. If there's any that are specifically for any of our panelists, I'm going to send it to them and they can hopefully post about it on the Facebook group. But thank you, John, Lawanda, Zach, and Shawn for joining Roland and I today. We learn so much from you always. Like we can always come up here and tell you what we believe are the best practices from what we learn from our pros, but it's just a whole nother level when it's coming from you guys because you're the ones doing it in practice. So other than that, thank you everyone for joining us. The last thing is join us here tomorrow, 5 p.m. Pacific time. We're going to be going through with Mel and also with Scott, our in-house researcher. We're going to be going through the SBA loan application, the EIDL, and also the Paycheck Protection Program, which Mel touched on earlier this webinar. So
yep.
Yeah, come prepared to learn and you're going to be able to apply right after we get off the Zoom tomorrow. So
thanks guys for joining us. Yeah. All of you guys. That's super awesome. We're going to do this again next week. We're going to start doing more pro roundtables. This is super cool. And lots of great tips and so many nuggets. So we're going to extract all that, put it in a great PDF, share it with all you folks that are watching. If you guys register for the webinar, we're shooting out to all your emails that are there and you'll find it in the groups. Like Alexa said, we'll have the Q&A. And then for us, what's most important, the reason why we do this is we want to get as many tradespeople into the Chrono group as possible so you guys can share ideas with one another. So the bigger the group becomes, it's for anybody. It's not just for House Call Pro users, it's for all people in the trades and also even small businesses because a lot of the tips and things that are shared here across, well, all 4 of you guys had ones that work for any industry, for any small business. So thank you guys.
Tomorrow's really the night that anyone that you know that owns a business, runs a business, individuals, even, you know, larger companies that have nothing to do with the home services. We're going to go over, you know, how to put in 10 minutes to get $10,000. And we're also going to tell you all about the you know, the payroll protection plan. So these are things that apply to all the home services out there and even bigger companies. So, you know, text your neighbor, your brother-in-law, you know, let your mom know if she has her crafting business that she might want to tune in as well. So anyone that you know that's in business at any level, this is the one to watch tomorrow night. Don't miss it.
Agreed.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See you later. Bye-bye.